F1 drivers, where do they go when the curtain finally closes on their Formula 1 career? Some step silently into the background, others try and ply their trade elsewhere in IndyCar and DTM. I'm Ollie Wilson for GPFans, and today we're looking at some of our favourite drivers from recent history and where they've gone once a time was called on their Formula 1 careers. Before we go any further, just a reminder, hit the subscribe button down below to stay with us throughout the 2022 season. But now let's have a look at some of our favourite drivers and where they are now. Nico Rosberg is probably a name that is very familiar to many. The 36-year-old German trumped teammate Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes in 2016, and after an incredible battle all season in Abu Dhabi, he was able to seize the world title. A few days later, he caused a wave of surprise by announcing his retirement from Formula 1. He has not been idle since. Today, Rosberg is active on YouTube, where he has over 1.2 million subscribers. He works as a Formula 1 expert for Sky Sports F1, and we still see him regularly on the track. And he has since set up his own Extreme E-team, Rosberg X Racing. Felipe Massa is another big name who said goodbye to Formula 1 just a few years ago, the Brazilian ending his career in 2017. In 2008, he was world champion for Ferrari for about 30 seconds or so until Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock 4 corners before the end of the final race in Brazil to take the title. In total, Massa had 11 Grand Prix victories to his name. He then made the switch to Formula E, where he competed in 24 races between 2018 and 2020. Today, he is active in the Brazilian Stock Car Pro Series, where he even formed a duo with the very same Timo Glock just last February. In Jenson Button, we have another Formula 1 former world champion. The Briton grabbed the championship in 2009 with Brawn GP. Button then moved to McLaren in 2010, where he ended his career in 2016. In 2017, he made one last appearance as a reserve driver in Monaco, as Fernando Alonso had entered the Indy 500. Today, he serves as an advisor for the Williams team, regularly serving on the grid as an analyst for Sky Sports, and just as Rosberg, he's founded his own Extreme E-team, JBXE. Stoffel Vandoorne drove 2 full seasons for the McLaren team in 2017 and 18 with teammate Fernando Alonso. The British superpower was anything but during these years, and Vandoorne had to leave the field due to disappointing results. He switched to Formula E, where he made his debut at HWA Racelab. In 2019, he made the switch to the Formula E team of Mercedes, where he still forms in their driver lineup today with Nick de Vries. He and his teammates are also the reserve driver for the Formula 1 stable. Another well-known name on this list is Jolyon Palmer. Despite the fact that his Formula 1 career doesn't really have many impressive statistics to go along with it, he is a welcome guest in and around the paddock. Palmer drove for Renault, that originated of course from Lotus, between 2016 and 2017 and collected a total of 9 points in 37 races. Today, he regularly appears as an analyst or commentator for the BBC, although he has been living his life a little more in the background in the last few years. His last Instagram post, for example, was dated all the way back in March 2020. Pascal Wehrlein also did not have a particularly long stay in Formula 1. The German made his debut in 2016 before moving to Sauber in 2017. The following year, however, he had to make way for the incoming Charles Leclerc, ending his Formula 1 adventure. Wehrlein returned to the DTM series with the Mercedes team. This too was a short-lived stay. In 2019, the 27-year-old driver made the switch to Formula E, where he currently drives for Porsche. He recently won the Mexico E-Prix. With that, he wrote his first ever victory for both himself and his team in the sport. Marcus Ericsson stayed in Formula 1 a little longer than some on this list. The Swede made his debut with the Caterham team back in 2014. He had a good debut season as well and was signed by Sauber for 2015. Here he drove until the 2018 season with Wehrlein and Leclerc as teammates. In 2019, Sauber opted for Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen, meaning there was no room for Ericsson. He crossed the ocean and entered the US IndyCar series with the Schmidt-Peterson Motorsport team. He is now in his 4th season in the largest racing class in the United States, and today he drives for Chip Ganassi Racing. Now, we haven't heard much from Brandon Hartley since his departure from Formula 1. The New Zealander drove 2 Grand Prix for Toro Rosso in 2017 as a reserve driver. In 2018, he had the whole season alongside Pierre Gasly. However, he was unable to make a splash and was replaced by Alexander Albon at the end of the season. Hartley is one of many Red Bull talents who have left the sport as quickly as they've entered it. Since his departure, however, he has not hung up his helmet. Hartley still travels the world competing in races. This year, as he did in 2021, he will drive in the WEC for the Toyota racing team. Danny Kvyat is another well-known name who is no longer on the grid. The Russian had an eventful career in which he drove for Toro Rosso, Red Bull Racing and AlphaTauri, but now his career as a full-time driver in Formula 1 seems to be over. He is, however, still active as a reserve driver for the Alpine team. He was also due to drive several races in the WEC for the G-Drive team, but the Russian team boss refused to sign the form by which Russian athletes renounced their ties to the home country due to the situation in Ukraine. Kvyat is now without a team because of this. Romain Grosjean has revived his career racing across the pond. The Frenchman drove for more than 10 years in Formula 1, but had to leave the Haas team at the end of 2020 when Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher came into the sport. He made the switch to IndyCar Series, where he drove for Dale Coyne Racing. Since this year, he has been signed by Andretti Motorsport, a huge name in the American racing class. Grosjean is in good shape for the time being. And finally, of course, Kimi Raikkonen. The Finn left the sport in his own way last year after an impressive career, silently and without fanfare. The 2007 world champion drove a total of 19 seasons in F1. Since his departure, he has been pretty quiet. The Iceman always was. In any case, he has never made it a secret that he has little to do with all the public interest in his life. Today, he is the team principal of the Kawasaki racing team in MXGP, the largest racing class in motocross. So who are the other drivers that you want to know about since their departure from Formula 1? Let us know in the comments section below as always, and hit the subscribe button to stay with us throughout this season here at GP Fans.